the most positive music from Rocky. That's our show. Our show's about positivity. We've been told by experts, we bring on the best guests in radio. And I'm telling you, I've been in radio for 20 years. I can't wait till every Thursday at 1 o'clock. We've had marvelous guests on. Today's not any different.
Today is not any different. We always have good guests. We always have cutting-edge people. You know, maybe some of them wrote a book. Maybe some of them are in PR. Maybe some of them, were CEOs of companies. But we always pick people that have achieved success. And because we have people that achieve success, part of our website goal is to teach people. And by having successful people on the show, we can share some information, some insight into what makes them tick, what traits they have that help people succeed.
Do you care that Suzanne Adams wrote a book?
Of course I do.
Okay. Am I allowed to ask her to tell us about the book?
That's kind of an irrelevant question, by the way. What would you expect somebody to say? I don't care?
No, you might say that to me. Suzanne Adams, our wonderful guest. Her website is SuzanneAdamsInc.com. Tell us about your book. It's called Musings of an Earth Angel. Please tell us about your book.
Sure. So my book is a fantasy book about a girl who thinks she has everything figured out, and a few things start to happen, tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and she really goes on a mission and starts to do a lot of soul searching, and she ends up being led across the world by archangels and goddesses, and she figures out that she was born with a sacred divine mission as an earth angel meant to guide the world through crisis.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Brien Johnson, do you want to ask a question of our guest?
Yes, I did. So on your website, you have these courses. So one of the things you have is Writer's Boot Camp. What is Writer's Boot Camp?
So basically, after I wrote my book, I had a lot of success pretty quickly. Hay House called me and invited me to be on the speakers panel next to Deepak Chopra and about 30 other New York Times bestselling authors. And so I got my name out there pretty quickly. And what happened was other entrepreneurs, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs, started coming to me saying, how did you get your book out? How did you have success so quickly with that? And can you help me? And so I believe if people are constantly asking you the same question, then that's a cue to you that that's a great business opportunity. So I wanted to be able to help people, and especially heart-centered writers, to get their message out into the world. And so I created a digital course called Write Your Book, Change the World Boot Camp. And what that is I take people through my process of really bringing in a higher power to move through you as you're writing, and how to create your book and how to launch a book.
And so how do you create a book and launch a book?
Well, it's a process. Obviously, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's really kind of a lot of about what we were talking about earlier. So, A, you need to have the desire to want to write the book. B, you need to be really clear on what your message is and who you want your book to help, and your why, because your why is really what's going to give you the energy and the momentum to move forward with that. And then basically you go through and you think about the transformational stories that have happened in your life and how that can teach others and how that can help others, and you create it and craft it and put it together. And then obviously the more business aspect of it is you start to build a platform, get followers, you start to create lead magnets and opt-ins for people that would be interested in your book. So by the time your book is ready, that you have the platform already available.
So are you referring to self-publishing then?
I have people that have done both in my course. But self-publishing is definitely the path of least resistance, for sure.
Correct. But when it's a self-publishing book and you've written the book, how do you get the word out?
Well, you have to market your book. So there's a million different ways you can do it. Obviously, you can go on interviews like this. You can, if you have an email list, you can email your list. You can do ads. You can do get book reviewers to review your book. You do book signings. You can do a book tour. It's the same thing whether you're self-published or if you have a traditional publishing deal. It's just a matter of your book being in more stores or not. Does that make sense?
Certainly. When did your book come out?
2015, the fall.
And how many copies have you sold?
These are personal questions.
No, that's totally fine. I've sold several thousand copies.
And who's the most successful person that took your course that wrote a book?
Probably a girl that is in the process right now of getting her first publishing deal. The course just came out.
And
so it's a little bit of a process.
How long is a typical process from, hey, I want to write a book to actually getting it published? Typical, average.
Well, I think it depends on the person and how dedicated you are and what you're doing. I would say it could be anywhere from the quickest 9 to 12 months to the longest 2 to 3 years.
I'm writing a book now. I'll have the book done in a month.
And what is that book about?
It's called How to Get Lucky in Life. Oh, I'm true. I have a website called lucky12.com that's being built right now.
Should call it 7-Eleven.
But if you're committed, you work. Suzanne Adams knows this. You work day and night. I mean, people who are committed don't take time off. People who are committed find a way to get the job done. So you want to write a book, you've got a great idea, get it done. Don't make excuses,
I like it.
That's pretty firm.
I'm firm. I'm the coach. The show is called AskBrien.com. Our guest, Suzanne Adams, the website, SuzanneAdamsInc.com. So tell us a little bit more about your life. You moved to Atlanta from, I'm guessing, New York.
No, I'm from Georgia, born and raised, actually.
So you're a Georgia peach?
I'm a Georgia peach, yes, sir.
Okay, I don't see here that Georgia accent. Can you give me just a little something? Just a y'all, just a little something? Come on, give me something.
Hey, y'all.
That's what we're looking for in California. So you're a life coach, and what are the number one issues right now that people, when they call up and say, Suzanne, I saw your website, I heard you on the show called Ask Brien, Brien. Also, we've asked you this morning to be an expert. We'd love to have, do we have a life coach on here as an expert yet?
We don't, but one of the things that attracted me to her consulting was about listening and those type of concepts, more along the lines of like human resources or behavioral organization. That's where I feel on the business side that she could definitely be a contributor. I hope I'm not, that doesn't mean that I'm excluding any of your other skills. I don't know any of your skills, but that was when I had my first conversation with you, that's where I was thinking.
Well, she can talk Southern. That's all I need to know. I don't need any other skills. So you're going to be on our site. I'm sure Brien will be in touch with you, and he'll tell you what you need to do. Our web builder is actually sitting 3 feet from us. Why, I don't know. I think he's looking for a free lunch. But anyway, they'll get in touch with you and love to have you as part of our Ask Brien, Brien. So back to you and your life and your book. So when people ask you as a life coach, what are they struggling with today? What are the 1-2 issues?
I think people are struggling with understanding their potential and understanding what it is that they were born to do. And something that I do that I'm really proud of, that I've had a lot of success with, is I host retreats and empowerment experiences. And what we do in these experiences is really teach people to connect to what it is that they were born to do, because with purpose comes fulfillment. And if you can understand what you were born to do and get in alignment with that, whether it's in your business or in your personal life or both, that's really when happiness and joy starts to come from people. And from a business perspective, when you have aligned employees and you have people that feel like they have purpose, then you really get a lot more out of people, and you really start to see people expand in a new way, in a new level.
So how do you find out what that one passion is? I was born to run, like Bruce Springsteen, but how do you find that passion?
So I think it's different for everyone, and as you grow and expand, your life purpose grows and expands. And so it's about, getting still and going within and really getting clear on what it is that you want and not what everyone's told you that you're supposed to be doing. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and he doesn't smile very often, our web builder, but when he does, it's a big smile. When Brien said that he was born to run.
Bruce Springsteen.
You've never run in your life. What's the
talking
farthest
about?
you've ever run in your life?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God. Now you're going to tell us you're a runner
in high school, I ran 26 miles in 3 weeks.
Seriously? No, in 3 weeks, yeah. The show's called, that makes sense. That's called Ask Brien, Brien. And you're listening to award-winning KHTS radio right here in Southern California. And Suzanne, we hope to have you back many times. I love what you're talking about. So, Brian Johnson of AskBrien.com asked you a pretty good question, which I'm going to try to ask also. You know,
Copycat.
people... Well, a little bit of a copycat, or modeling.
You know that I'm a copyright attorney.
Do you know what modeling is?
But
you
you
are
know,
you're a franchise attorney.
Yes, but I do copyright law too. I know what copyright infringement is. Anyway, ask a question.
So, thank you, counsel. Step up to the...
I'm not your counsel.
What is
There's
the
no attorney-client
What does the
relationship.
judge say?
There's no attorney-client
Step up to the
relationship.
bench. Sorry, Suzanne, for this little battery.
It's called sidebar. Go ahead.
So my train of thought goes this, that people... Don't give up. If you don't find your passion at 14... I knew at 12 years old what I was going to do. I didn't like school.
You knew you were going to be a merchant account guy at 12?
I knew that I was going to be successful at 12. No, seriously.
I know, but you weren't there with
Get
the
the
Visa
judge.
card.
Will you get the judge on the
Visa
phone? I
card?
wanna step up to the bench. So
Where's the bill?
the show's called Ask Brien. Yes, are we having a little fun? Of course. It's part...
We're not allowed to have fun. I was told that.
Last week. Yeah. Suzanne will be back.
You should. When you're having fun, you help to make the planet a better place.
Yeah, well, we have a listener that sometimes gets irritated that we're having too much fun. So tell the listener what you just said.
And joyful, happy people change the planet.
Oh,
it's
my
important
God.
to have fun.
Thank you, girl. So I agree with you. Sometimes it takes a lifetime, and I know this sounds strange to say it, to find your passion. But don't give up. I mean, it's okay to try 100. I had 100 jobs in my 20s, Suzanne. 100. I'm not exaggerating.
Does that mean you were fired 99?
No, I'd quit. I'd start on a Monday and quit on a...
Well, where's the perseverance?
I was looking for my passion in life. I was looking for that one thing. Suzanne and I are on the same wavelength almost.
I don't think anyone's on your wavelength.
Oh, God. Will you take the whiskey away from him, Aaron, please? I told you, do not bring the whiskey into the studio.
They didn't bring any coffee. I had to drink something.
Suzanne, do you know that, although we're not, I'm teasing them, we can drink on the air, but the guy that produces the show, Aaron, cannot drink. Can you believe that? The board op can't drink.
But let's be careful.
Wow.
We're talking about water, okay?
Water. That's what we're drinking.
Hey, I'm from New York.
You are?
Yeah.
You are really?
Of course.
I did not know that.
Long Island.
Suzanne Adams, Inc.com is a great website. Suzanne Adams is a life coach. And I can just tell you actually help people. So people struggle with what they want to do in life. What do you tell them?
Well, it depends on what they're struggling with and how they're struggling, because what I really find that a lot of people doing is what you were just saying that you were doing and that I've definitely done, and that search for fulfillment through external situations. And it's very natural to do that because we think that the next biggest thing or the next promotion or the next whatever it is going to give us fulfillment. And the truth is, until you feel peace from the inside out and until you really tune in to who you are on a soulful level, then it's hard to really get fulfillment.
When did you find out what your passion was?
I mean, I think, our passion can be a lot of things, but I think it's when you can combine the passion and the purpose is when you really get fulfilled. And for me, it was probably about 5 years ago. And it's very different than, I didn't think I was going to be on radio shows talking about angels and meditation, that's for sure. It would be laughable, 10 years ago. But it's changed everything for me. And so that's why it's really important for me to help people in any way that I can and to help people to align with their purpose and their passion.
We've got to take a break. I want to come back. You mentioned the word meditation. I'm curious. Brien, I actually meditate. Have you ever meditated in your life?
I didn't hear anyone mention the word, but go ahead.
I said it.
Suzanne said it. Are you listening to her? Because I am. I'm actually listening. So is our listeners. It's called Ask Brien, Brien. When we come back, I want to delve into meditation because it's misunderstood, but it's so important to understand what Susan's going to share with you. Suzanne.
I did transcendental meditation when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And you're
that's
from
great.
New York, too, right?
That's correct.
Well, I just found that out. All right, we'll be right back. Remember, it's KHTS Radio, award-winning radio station. We're on every Thursday at 1. Tune in. I know you love our show. We get your emails, we get your texts, and we get your phone calls. So we'll be right back with Suzanne and the discussion of meditation.
I love that song. It's so inspirational. And we're here live with an inspirational guest. And so, Suzanne, I have a couple of questions. Do you have any upcoming
Sure.
events?
I do. I have a women's empowerment retreat that I'm hosting in Sedona, Arizona, the last weekend in September. Thank you for asking. And then I've got a talk that I'll be giving in Atlanta, and I'm not sure of the topic yet. I usually decide about a month out as a topic.
Why don't you do a retreat for attorneys? No, I'm serious. I couldn't be more serious. These lawyers...
She's going to do that right after she does the merchant account people.
No, lawyers first, then merchant account people. The show's called Ask Brien, BRIEN.com. Really a great website. So much. There's free stuff on there. The whole site's free, but you can take courses. I mean, you can. Let me be serious for a second, ladies and gentlemen. You can actually learn something on the site called Ask Brien, and we have all kinds of courses. We have a course on SEO, search engine optimization. So don't go out and spend a lot of money till you go to the website and look at the course. It could save you thousands of dollars, but more importantly, it'll teach you and help you understand how important SEO is. All right, back to our fabulous guest, Suzanne Adams. The website is, according to our millennial, which I value his opinion, SuzanneAdamsInc.com. It's a beautiful site. Aaron likes the colors. What else did you like about the site, Aaron?
It's nice. On the homepage, it has a nice little watercolor flower on it, and it's just very inviting. The top screen has everything you need to know about the website.
A little watercolor got you, didn't it? The little watercolor flower really...
I did. It was peaceful.
Yeah, it's very peaceful.
Well, thank you.
Why don't you get a little
I'm glad you
water?
guys like it.
Why don't you get a little water? You can go one of... Never mind. The show's called Ask Brien.
So, Suzanne, I want to ask you about the meditation issue.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Someone's got to keep you on point.
I meditate sometimes.
You meditate?
Every day.
I think you need to. I think you're not meditating enough.
Remember, I believe in angels, okay? So meditation is not the sitting there going, no, it's not that. It's getting in touch with yourself. It's getting very... Have you ever been quiet in your life? Seriously, have you ever...
I said I did TM, Transcendental Meditation, when I was 8 years old. And that's the truth.
How was that? I would love to hear about it.
I mean, you had incense. Basically, the way it was taught was you would go through
incense, Suzanne.
That's okay.
I know you had to throw that in there.
I was 8 years old. So basically, you would sit around. You would think about everything you were planning on. You'd close your eyes. You'd try to get inside yourself and emotions. Try to find out who you are. Try to find out what you were going to do that day, and in inner peace and quiet, and try to come up with concepts. That's how I was taught. But I was 8 years old. My sister taught me, who was 10 years older than I was.
So you haven't meditated since you're 8 years old?
I meditate every time I speak to you.
Oh, my God. So explain to our listeners what meditation is, what it means to you, and what it can do for you.
So I think meditation is a really important part of life that can get overlooked a lot. And actually, I think Brien did a great job of describing it. It is about going within. It's about witnessing what's up for you. Because if you allow your emotions and your ego and your monkey mind to run the show, then that's what's going to be mirrored back to you into life. And so, quantum physics, everything is energy. Everything breaks down into cells and atoms and molecules and has an energy and a frequency. And meditation is basically just tuning in to that energy that feels the best to you and to that energy of a higher power. And I think it's really, really important. And I think that there is a lot of good that it can do for people.
So it's interesting, you said The Crazy Monkey. I wrote a book. My last book was called The Thinking Room. That's what I do. I teach executives how to think. And in my book, I talk about the drunken monkey, so the fact that you use the same term. So getting your mind quiet, find a quiet place. It could
that could never happen on
the reason I call my book The Thinking Room is my man cave is my office. I put my feet up, and for 15 minutes I lower my heart rate. You know all this stuff, Suzanne. I can get my pulse rate down into the high 50s, and I just get real quiet. and think about my life, think about my day. And when you get so quiet, as you know, Suzanne, things come into your mind. Rich things come into your mind. Things that have value come into your mind. And this is where we have to help Brien at AskBrien.com.
Excuse me?
Brien. It's a great website.
I think Coach needs a timeout, which is another form of meditation.
You're funny.
Well, the thing is, when you meditate, it is when you get your best ideas, and when you're quiet and you're still, it is when you start to get the ideas, the $1 million ideas. So that is a business tool as well.
Well said.
I totally agree. How often do you meditate?
Every day.
Every
For
day.
me, I haven't missed a day in 3 years.
It becomes a good habit, Brien.
Almost like the Ask Brien show.
Yeah, every Thursday at 1 o'clock. And we had fun today. We have fun every Thursday, and we have intelligent guests, smart guests, and successful guests who are helpful. And today, Suzanne was one of those guests.
So, Suzanne, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, wow.
She's going to be with, what's his name, Harper with the Washington Nationals.
Oh, my God. Bryce?
Well,
Bryce,
let her answer the question.
I am in conversations with my book with a few different Hollywood producers. So in 10 years, I hope for all 3 of the books of the trilogy to be a movie. I hope to have had millions and millions to be able to give to help people in need that need help in the planet, and hope to just really be empowering a lot of people.
So you just brought up a point of trilogy, because I only knew of one book. So my question is, what are the other 2 books that you're planning on? Without giving out too much information.
Yeah, no, it's just an extension of the books, and it's the character journeying on and understanding how to move forward, basically. And the other 2 books are not coming out yet because I want them to all come out together, because with the first one, everyone messages me. It ends on a big cliffhanger, so everyone's constantly messaging me, when's the next one? And so I want to be able to have the next 2 coming out pretty close together.
It sounds like Star Wars. Star Wars had 2 movies come out back to back almost.
Yeah.
So you're trying to follow their marketing philosophy. That's interesting. You're from where? In Atlanta or just Georgia?
I'm from Athens, Georgia originally, but my home is in Atlanta, Georgia now.
And how did you get from Athens to Atlanta? And don't tell me you drove.
I walked. It's not. I don't know. It's just kind of the next logical step. I love to travel. I travel all the time, and Atlanta is conducive to that. And my family is close by, and it was just kind of the next logical thing. And that's where I ended up with a job right out of college, and I just never moved.
You have someplace on your website about happiness. Explain to me, is that just trying to teach people how to be happy, or showing people how happiness can impact your life? What is that aspect on the site?
No, it's definitely teaching people how to be happy, because I believe a lot of people today walk around being what I call surface level happy, and that's what I did for a long time too. And that goes back to, putting on a front and letting people think that you're happier than you are, and doing what other people told you that you're supposed to be doing versus what you truly want to be doing in your heart. So there's a little bit of a process that I have to teach people how to bring more happiness and fulfillment into their life. And we've talked about a lot of it today. I mean, basically understanding about life purpose and getting in alignment with that, understanding that people are going to treat you the way you treat yourself, and the importance of self-love and what self-love even means, because a lot of people don't understand what that is. Flipping negative situations to positive situations, because we live in a world where there's a lot of heaviness going on, and so you have to be able to flip that. And in business as well, you really have to be able to flip harsh negative situations to positive situations. And then I believe a big piece of that is connecting to something bigger than you, a higher power, and allowing it to move through you, and being an instrument for positivity and for love, and then just surrendering and following the path.
Well, that was a great answer, and I hate to say that, but we're almost out of time, so our show is ending. We're going to be back here next week with Ask Brien, live 1 to 2 every Thursday, so make sure everybody comes back. We'd love to have you back as a guest, and we'd love to have you as a contributor on the Ask Brien site. And try to come up with some type of partnership that we can have, because I think we both have some of the same attributions. So we're going to wrap this up, and it's been a great pleasure to have everybody on our show today.
Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.